Hey everyone, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com. Hope you are having a fantastic day. Hey, got a quick little tutorial for you how to get the fullness and the fatness out of your bass guitar tracks. This is for the people out there who are recording a DI bass. You're plugging right into your preamp or a DI or right into your interface. And then maybe you're also miking up an amp, or you've routed it so you're running your bass through a virtual bass amp and the DI clean signal at the same time. Okay, this is relatively common, so if you're in this situation, this will apply to you. If you're not, pay attention so when you do get a mix that someone else has recorded in this way, you won't make the mistake that I've done for many, many years, which is to lose out on so much of the fatness of your bass guitar. All right, this is a simple trick to lining up your bass to getting it to sound fat, because here's a problem. I was showing our Dueling Mixes members this problem in this month's mix. We got two bass tracks. Top one is a DI, and you can take a listen to that. All right. The bottom one is a virtual amp through the Axe 2. Now you could pick one and go. If you decided to blend the two, you would think together they would sound really awesome. You'd have the clarity of the DI and a little bit of the roundness of the bass amp. But together, this is what they sound like. Kind of muffled. Take away the DI. There's the fullness of the bass amp one, but take away the bass amp. There's a nice clarity of the DI. Together, they actually sound worse. Now, why is this? Simple answer, they're out of phase. Why does this happen? Because it doesn't take nearly as much time for the bass guitar signal to go through the DI and to be recorded than it does to go through a virtual amp or out to a real amp, mic'd up, back into a preamp, right? They're out of phase. So you take a zoom in approach and you're going to see that this DI one is hitting before the amp one. Now you've got different looking waves here. One has a slower wave than the other, but if you look across the course of time here, you're going to start to notice some trends. That when the DI bass is up, the amp bass is primarily down. When the DI bass is down, the bass amp is still up, coming down from the up wave, right? It's going to go up and down, up and down. It's going to be all jacked up. Now, there's no way this would be perfectly lined up, okay? That's not what we're trying to do, but we're noticing that these things are out of phase, even a slight amount, okay? Now, what I did is I went ahead and copied this DI track up top to a separate playlist or a virtual track in Pro Tools. And I shifted it over a few samples. So I flip over to it. What you can see if I zoom in here is basically on this separate track, I've cut the bass DI and moved it back in time to closer match the bass amp. Okay, so before it was here, and then I cut it and shifted it over. Now, how much did I shift it over? If you look at the samples menu here, we're looking at 661 420 to 661 500, maybe 75 samples, maybe 80 samples. Not a lot, but then in digital land, that is a lot. 75 samples is a long time. So that's why we're hearing a difference. Now, instead of talking about this, let me just show you what this sounds like. You'll hear the difference immediately. Here's now the two lined up. Very nice. But we have no context. So let me flip back. Here's the two that as they were given to me to mix, not lined up. Kind of mid-rangey, now lined up. Nice and full, right? Now take a look at the waveform now, and we'll do a listen one more time. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but take a look at what we did by shifting it over. When the DI goes down, the amp goes down. When the DI goes down, the amp goes down. DI is down. For the most part, the amp's down. And you start to see that now trending, right? It's a little more consistent. You go all the way across. DI is down. Amp is down. DI is down. Amp is down primarily. Are they perfectly in phase? No, nothing is perfectly in phase, and we don't care about that. We're not mad scientists. We're musicians, okay? We're making music here, people. But by shifting one of the tracks back in time or forward in time to align with the other, now you can hear them the way you had thought they would be heard together, which is the benefit of both tracks as opposed to canceling each other out. So I'm just going to press play, and I'm going to press it the way it was. And then I'm just going to simply flip back and forth between the two playlists. So I'm shifting the DI track back and forward, back and forward. And when it shifts and kicks back in, you're going to hear the difference in tone. So we'll start with them before and then flip to after. Much more fullness, much more roundness, much more clarity. You get the clarity of the DI, you get the roundness of the amp, and together they sound awesome. That's without any EQ, that's without any processing, that's without any tricks. There's no amps, there's nothing. It's just making sure that you've lined up the bass guitars. Now you're ready to mix it. If it needs any EQ, great. If it needs any compression, fine. But at least you've got the original full tone that you hoped you would have without having to process the crud out of it to get something that's just never going to be there because things were being canceled out. So, little tip for you, make sure you line things up if they need them. If something sounds funny together and you're like, that should probably sound better than it does if you combine them, it's probably a phase issue. And you might as well zoom in and see what's going on in the waveform. Hope that helps. Again, this is Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com. Go make some great music. And hey, if you like the video, subscribe to them. That way you'll stay up to date the moment a new video goes live. And if you need more mixing training, more recording training, there is hours and hours of content over at therecordingrevolution.com. Specifically, sign up and get the free ebook right now. That way you'll be able to dive in 20 minutes. You'll have like the secret to how to make better music in your home studio, and then you can go like apply that to everything you're doing. It will help you. It's free. It's fun. We're doing a lot over there. So join us. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next week.